Hey there, and welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast, the show that's all about helping photographers just like you build a thriving business without sacrificing your sanity. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a former teacher turned full-time photographer and marketing coach, here to fill your earbuds each week with practical tips, real-life stories, and a whole lot of encouragement. So if you're ready to dive in, let's get to it because this girl means business. Okay, my friend, it is time that we have a little come to Jesus conversation around how often you're actually talking about your business. Now, I know you're probably thinking, I talk about my business all the time, but are you really talking about your business as much as you think that you are? Well, let me share a quick little story with you of the aha moment I had when I realized that I was not sharing about my business as much as I thought I was. So several years ago, I was teaching at an elementary school with a lot of other female educators, moms, and a couple of them had high school senior daughters this one year. And high school senior girls specifically are one of my favorite types of sessions to do. And I had posted stuff online about my senior portraits and things like that. So it comes time for them to start talking about looking for a senior portrait photographer. At this point, I was still teaching full time. I was running my business on the side, and I was under the impression that everybody in my school knew what I did, that they all knew that I was a photographer. They all knew that I did certain types of sessions. And then one day I'm sitting in the teacher's lounge and I'm listening to one of the teachers talking about her daughter's senior portraits and how they had gone with this photographer that was kind of a well-known photographer in our town, but he was older. He was very, very traditional in his style. A lot of it was studio work, and that they had gone with him because it's what a lot of the seniors in our town who they went to. But she was really disappointed with the photos, that she was like, they just don't show off her personality. They weren't really her. They felt very posed and forced. And I'm just kind of listening to this conversation happen off on the side. And in my mind, I'm kind of frustrated that she didn't book with me in the first place. And so I didn't say anything. But later that day, I'm talking to another friend, another teacher. And I said, I overheard this teacher talking about her daughter's senior portraits and how disappointed she was in them. And I just kind of got my feelings hurt that she didn't pick me. That's exactly what I love doing. And that's the style I love, which is capturing the personality and letting them kind of shine through the photos and being creative and doing these fun things. And the lady looked at me, the teacher, and she said, Kendra, I actually forgot that you do photography. It totally did not even cross my mind. And she was like, I bet she doesn't even know that you do photos. So I went and talked to the other teacher that later that day, and I just said, hey, I overheard you talking. I wanted to let you know, I do photography. I do senior portraits. I would love to do a session for your daughter. And I offered her a huge discount. And I was like, I want her to be happy with her photos. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. She goes, I had no idea you did photography. That's not even something that I even knew. And in that moment, between those two conversations, it occurred to me that I, one, assumed that everybody around me knew what I was doing. And two, I, in my head, had talked about my business so often in my head that I thought everybody else was listening and was taking it all in. So a couple of kind of light bulb moments occurred all at one time. And one of them was that everybody is busy with their own lives. Everybody has got 1,000,001 things going on. And while we would love to believe that when we put something out into the world and we say, hey, look at me, I'm doing this thing, I want you to come take part in it. I'm a photographer, I want you to come book with me. We assume, or we hope for the best, I guess, that idea is so important to them that it sticks in their brain and that it's going to live permanently in their brain. And then the next time that they think of, I need a photographer for X, Y, or Z, your name is immediately going to pop to the front of their brain and be like, oh, I've been sitting here waiting for so long for you to pull this out of the depths of your brain that Kendra is a photographer and you should hire her. Okay. Unfortunately, that is not how it works in the real world. When you are sharing hey, I'm a photographer, I offer X, Y, and Z sessions, come work with me. In my case, it was, hey, I'm a photographer. I do high school senior portraits. I was hoping they would grab onto the idea, put it in their brain, and hold on to it. But the reality is they heard it. It went in one ear, it went out the other, because it wasn't something they needed to remember right in that moment. And when it came time to actually needing a photographer, because they'd only heard me say it once, maybe twice, it was not something that was front of mind for them. I was not front of mind for them. And over the next several months of me working in the school, I kind of made an effort to talk more about doing my photography, and talked about the sessions I was doing on the weekend, or something funny that might have happened, or a cool new spot that I found. And I realized more and more people were like, oh, that's so cool. I totally forgot that you did photography, or I didn't know you did photography in the first place. And so it reinforced this idea that I had not been talking about my business nearly enough. So yes, scenario A was that I was hoping that I could say it, people would grab onto it and hold it in their brain. That wasn't happening. The other thing I realized, the other light bulb moment I had, was that in my mind, I was talking about my business all the time because I was living inside of my business. So in my little bubble of a world, everything around me was about my business. But in the bigger picture, in everybody else's worlds, I was this tiny little speck of dust that maybe they had seen or heard about, but it didn't really resonate. Or maybe it was like that little, cricket in the background that you hear it and you're like, what is that? And then you keep going about your day because you forget that it's not important enough to hold on to that information. So I learned that I wasn't really talking about my business as much as I thought I was talking about my business. It felt like so much more because I was in it. But when you step outside of it and you really look at, what all I was putting out into the world, it was a very, very small fraction compared to what I thought I was putting out into the world. So I encourage you, if you are in the place of I feel stuck, I have done all the things, and I'm putting all the things in quotes. I have done all the things and I'm not getting I'm not getting booked out. I'm not getting new bookings. I'm not getting new inquiries. I'm not getting people reaching out to me. I want you to do a self-audit. I want you to really, really objectively look at how often are you actually talking about your business. And I don't just mean you're putting out a pretty picture and some, flowery caption underneath it. How often are you actually talking about who you are, what you do, who you serve, and how you serve them? So let's just go social media for a second. Even though I don't love social media, it is the thing that a lot of people are using. And so let's just look at your last few social media posts. What have those posts look like, and how often have you been putting them out there? So let me give you kind of photographer A, photographer B situations, then we'll break it down. So let's say photographer A, you are someone who you're posting pretty consistently on social media. You're putting content out into the world pretty consistently. We'll say 2 to 3 times a week you're posting on social media, maybe even 3 to 4 times a week. And a lot of that content is more about pretty pictures. It's the example I gave before of, okay, I have this picture of a beautiful family sitting together in a field at sunset, smiling and, laughing. And so underneath it, you put a caption, something really, a quote of some kind, or something along the lines of, this beautiful family loves to laugh and play together. That's not really talking about your business. It is a very passive aggressive way, not even passive aggressive. It's passively sharing your business. And in a world where there is so much information coming, it just doesn't resonate with people. That's not enough for them to go, ooh, she's a photographer. Because maybe that's a picture of your family and you're just posting it because you love the picture of your family. People scroll through social media all the time and they see people posting these beautiful professional photos of their own family. They don't know the difference between someone posting their own photo of their family versus you, the photographer, posting about your business. Unless you explicitly put in there, it's about your business, which we'll break down in a second. Now, photographer B, this might be you. If you're more like photographer B, you're someone who's I'm putting out content sometimes. And when I do put out content, it's typically to advertise my business. It's to say, I'm running this special, or I have this session, spots available for these mini sessions, or book now for your Christmas card photos. And you're putting that out there, but it's like very sporadic. It's maybe one a week at the most, maybe a couple a month, but they're very spaced out. They're not consistent, and they're all about selling. So you have two kind of extremes here. You have the photographer A who's like, I'm putting content out there, but I'm not really selling. I'm more just kind of like putting up pretty photos. And then you have photographer B who's like, I'm putting content out there sometimes, and it's all about selling. You need a happy medium in between. So what does that look like? So let's say that you want to be photographer C. Okay, photographer C has got it figured out. What photographer C is doing is she is putting out content. And when I say content, it can be social media, blog posts, videos, podcasts, in a Facebook group, wherever. But you're putting out or networking events, talking about to people in person. Like you're having these touch points. Okay, we'll call them touch points. You're putting out pieces of content that are touch points on a consistent basis. And they are a mix of ways to talk about your business. So a touch point might be, okay, I'm putting something on social media, but I'm also going to put out a blog. I'm going to send an email. Emails are great for this. I'm going to go to this networking event and I'm going to talk to these people. Like these are all different touch points. And you don't need to be selling every single time you put out a touch point, because that is one of the fastest ways to get people to completely disengage with your content. If every single thing you're putting out there, if every email you send, if every post you put on social media, if every time you show up in someone's, inbox or into a networking event, and the only thing you're doing is selling your services, right out selling, saying, hey, book with me. I'm offering this thing. Come book with me. People are going to tune you out. So how can you be talking about your business without selling your business? Well, a couple of things. One, you can share behind the scenes of your sessions. This is a great way to sell your business and talk about your business without just blatantly being like, here's what I do, come book with me. Be talking about and sharing what goes on in your sessions. This could be as simple as taking a photo of your camera with a family or a client in front of the camera. This could be taking a picture of an awesome location that you're shooting at, putting it on your Instagram stories and being like, office view for the day, incredible family session at such and such location tonight. Cannot wait to show you how they turn out. Like these are ways that you are subtly telling people what you do. Okay. You are going to share maybe like a little candid photo or a back of your camera photo of like a snapshot from your phone of your favorite photo from that session. Like anything that feels very in the moment. It does not feel staged. It does not feel posed. It does not feel like professionally done. That is going to grab people's attention because it's going to be like, ooh, what's she doing today? Ooh, where is she doing her session at today? And again, you're subtly letting people know, I'm a photographer. I do X, Y, and Z. If you come work with me, look what you're going to have in your, when you get your photos. A couple of ways I've done this is when I do boudoir sessions are very hard to really sell online on social media, especially because they tend to get flagged. They tend to get blocked, things like that. And a lot of people just don't want their photos out there. So that makes it harder to advertise as well. But when I have clients come into the studio, one of the things that they always have is they do hair and makeup in my studio. So I can take a photo on my phone of them getting their hair and makeup done where you can't see their face. The makeup artist, maybe is like covering their face with their hand or is kind of posed in front of them a little bit. But you can see that someone's getting their hair and makeup done. Or I'll do like a quick pan over of like the studio or like an outfit that they've brought or something like that, or a cute pair of shoes. And I can just do a little behind the scenes snippet of like, super excited about our session today. This client's going to rock it with her boudoir session. And so that's a really fun way to do that. I've done this too, where like if I am doing a personal brand session, I just had one today before I recorded this, and we were in this beautiful model home that she's a real estate agent. So we used one of her broker's model homes. It was absolutely stunning. So I took a couple pictures on my phone of her like in a fun pose with my camera up. And it's a picture on my cell phone of the camera and then her kind of in front of the camera. And I can share that on my social media. I can be like, incredibly super fun session today with a real estate agent. This house is absolutely stunning. And again, people are seeing it's keeping top of mind. I'm staying top of mind without actively saying like, hey, look at me. I'm a photographer. Look what I'm doing. Another way is to share client testimonials and stories. So let's say that I'll use my brand session as an example. Let's say that, this client, we had an amazing brand session. We got along so well. We did some fun things around like a town square and then plus this model home. And she sends me a text afterwards saying how much fun it was, how relaxed she felt, that she was nervous going into the session, but I made everything super easy. As simple as a screenshot of that text message, post it online, whether it's on my website, whether it's sharing it in an email or on social media or in a blog post, maybe with one of her edited photos attached to it, like little things like that. Again, I'm not selling my services in that post. I'm not saying come book a session with me, but I'm putting out there this image and this testimonial and saying, look at what other clients have had to say about what I offer. Client testimonials are huge. And I'm going to have a whole other episode coming up on how to get more client testimonials. I have an old episode you can go back and listen to as well, because those are such a key piece of marketing for your business. You need to make sure you are always asking for client testimonials. Another way is to reintroduce yourself. Okay. A lot of times, again, we assume that people know who we are and what we do. But there's a lot of times that someone comes across your content and they're like, who's this Kendra person? Like, why is she on my feed now? Why am I seeing her? What is it? Who is she again? Why did I follow her? And so every couple of months going in, even if it's just once or twice a year, and reintroducing yourself, sharing a little bit about who you are, why you do what you do, like what made you decide to go into photography. A big story that always gets people with me is the fact that I used to be a teacher. I left education to go into working for myself full-time as a photographer. I cannot tell you how many conversations that has started with people who are teachers or who used to be teachers. In fact, the client I did today, the same one I was just talking about, the real estate agent, she was a teacher for 20 years before she got out to do real estate. And so we bonded over that. And that was one of the things that she said. She came across my page, my website, and reading my story about how I used to be a teacher and now I do this full time, that really resonated with her. And so that was one of the reasons why she ended up going with me. She felt connected. But I talk about that pretty often. Like if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already knew that about me, that I used to be a teacher, because I do bring it up. I talk about it, not in a way that's like, shoving it down your throat, but I want that to be a connection piece. So reintroducing yourself, adding in little pieces about yourself, and then letting them know, here's what I do, here's why I do it. And then again, the last but not least is do this often. Okay. And obviously you can add in actually selling your stuff, saying, I have these mini sessions coming up. I am currently booking for high school seniors, or, it's time to get your photos taken for your family Christmas cards. Like, you can still do those things, and you definitely need to be doing those. If I were to put this into a calendar, okay, I'm looking at a 7-day week. In those 7 days, my minimum goal is 3 times in that week, I'm going to be talking about my business. And that might be 1 behind the scenes shot, 1 client testimonial, and 1 piece of content where I'm actually selling my services. If you can abide by that, minimum 3 times a week, a behind the scenes of a session, a client testimonial, and a post where you're actually selling yourself, selling your services, if you do those things consistently for a month, you're going to be top of mind. And I guarantee you there are going to be people who follow you on social media or who know you in real life or who come across your content who are going to be like, oh yeah, I totally forgot she did that. So you need to make sure, 1, go back and kind of self-audit. What am I actually putting out into the world? And 2, How can I step that up? If you're already doing it 3 times a week, aim for 5. And again, I don't mean you to be posting on social media 5 times a week. I'm not saying that. A quick story takes 5 seconds to put up. It does not need to be a super highly produced thing. It's just finding those little touch points so that people are connecting the dots to you, what you offer, and why they need you. So bottom line, you're not talking about your business as much as you think you are. It's time to step it up just a notch and see if that helps increase the number of bookings that you're getting in your business. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for being here through the tough love and everything. And I will hope to see you back here next week. If I didn't scare you off, same time, same place.